How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to make Sonny Fodera's Always Gonna Be. This is a deep house classic. This track's got to be about 15 years old, so it just shows how long Sonny Fodera has been spitting out tracks onto the scene. And yeah, he's always been on top of his game. Here's a preview of the track that you'll have made by the end of this video.
Always gonna be something, always gonna be something standing in your way. Cause it's always gonna be something, always gonna be something standing in your way.
That's right. That's right.
Great, guys, so as you can see, the track's sort of made of two parts. So we've got the intro, which has that sort of ARP and the pianos, and then we've got the drop, which is the drums and the bass. So the first layer we have are the drums. The drums are pretty simple, but it allows for the bass to take sort of dominance in the track. We've run through it quickly what we have. So firstly, we have this kick, then a clap on top, then another clap, then an open hat, another open hat, and then a hat that's panned to the right, and then one that's panned to the left. As the drums are so minimal, it's important that we've got this layering going on, as it allows for the simple just clap and hat to sort of really punch through the mix and find their own space. In terms of processing, there's literally no processing. So yeah, if you want drum sounds like these, then check out my Deep House Volume 1 pack. The link for that is in the description. Great, now let's move on to the bass. There's a super simple pattern. It's literally just a 2-bar pattern. So yeah, as you can see, there's literally 4 notes that make up this pattern. So we're starting on the B, up to the C, down to the G, and then finishing on the F sharp. So simple. If you look at the patch itself, it's actually made in Serum, and it's from my Deep House Volume 1 pack. You can get that from the link in the description. The pack has over 65 presets for making the sickest deep house. Every single sound in the pack is built off a remake of a deep house track. So yeah, we've got the old stuff like this, and then we've got a lot of the newer deep house as well. So yeah, you can literally remake all of the classics. Let me show you how this is made. So I'll turn everything off. First, we've got this sub. Instead of using the basic sine, we've gone for the more sort of distorted one. We've pitched it down by 2. Then we've turned oscillator A and B on and gone basic shapes and found the sine wave. We've then gone oscillator B and found the reverse sine wave, which is the dB sine. So as you can see, they're sort of curved in the complete opposite to each other. What we've then done is added this filter and take out anything above 236 Hertz. So we're keeping that sort of subbiness in. And then we've gone for this envelope, which is the amplitude envelope, and we sort of sculpted it. We then come over to envelope 2, and this is where the main sort of sound comes from. So this is controlling this distortion. So we selected the sine fold, which is here, so sine fold. And this basically, if I turn this off, it's not the same sound at all, right? So you turn this on, make sure the mix on 100%, bring up the drive to about 11%, and then grab this envelope, shape it so it looks like this. I mean, feel free to copy these settings here. And then we drag this over onto the drive. I brought it up to 11. You could obviously bring it up a little bit more. Maybe 13 is sort of the max. Yeah, I was happy with 11. And then this is sort of distorting these sine waves so much that it's giving you the bass sound that you're hearing. Just to add a little bit more control in the sort of mid-range, we've added this filter as well. This filter is the same as this, but it just basically allows you for a second filter. Obviously, if you're using Serum 2, then you've got 2 filters like next to each other. This is sort of the old school way of having 2 filters in Serum. But yeah, we've literally dragged this on the cutoff, gone for an MG low 12 without it. Too much that distortion's coming through, so this sort of second filter coming after that sort of blocks it. Then we've got this compressor, which isn't doing a whole lot. It's just lightly compressing it, so it's not too over the top. Then got a bit of EQ, boosting some of the mid highs and a little bit of the lows, and then followed by this delay. Just adds a little bit to the width, but it isn't doing a whole lot. Great, now let's have a look at the intros. Firstly, you'll notice this big ARP. The MIDI is pretty simple. We're literally just going up and down the scale. So when making these, I normally like start on the root or something like this. And then all he's sort of done is bring that forward and then replace the two that you sort of lost there. In terms of the key, we're in B minor, so yeah. We're starting on the B here, and then we're scaling up as I just showed, but obviously he's pushed it forward a little bit. In terms of the sound, again, it's from the Deep House Volume 1 pack. Cool, yeah, so if we have a look at this patch, in the sub, we've got a saw. In oscillator A, we've got this BD square, which I think, analog BD square. Then we've got analog, basic mini, and we've got a saw wave. We then come over to this envelope, and this is doing a lot of the sort of work. So if I make this longer, you want it to be really nice and plucky. We then got envelope 2, and that's controlling the filter cutoff. So this is dragged all the way down, and then we've gone over here, dragged it on here, dragged it up. This LFO2 is controlling the fine tune. Not really necessary to be honest. But yeah, then we've got this hyper. Let's take these effects off. It's gonna sound pretty dry. Right, and then you add this hyper, makes it wider, distortion, bit of depth, delay. As you can hear, it's now in the left and right. Compression, bit of EQ, just to boost the sort of mid region, makes it stand out and then makes it a bit better. And then of course the reverb, which brings it all together. Gone for a plate over a hall. Hall, not as good. Plate, for this sort of sound, sounds much better. More airy and atmospheric. Great, next we have the piano. So pretty simple, it's just this repeating itself. Again, we're in the key of B minor, and they look like pretty simple chords to me. So yeah, we've got the B upper third, then we've got a 6th and a 7th, and then this is like an inverted. Oh, so that's just that pitch down. Just a lot of inversions. So obviously, the simple chord would be something like this. But then they've added sort of that 7th, and then they've inverted that bottom bit. And then if we have a look at the sound, it's the piano 3. So this is the Arturia piano plugin, and then we've got a bit of overdrive and a bit of reverb. Then got the same on the pad, exact same notes. Cool, and without repeating myself too much, this is from that same Deep House pack, but yeah, I'll show you how to make a sort of pad from scratch. What we can do is initiate preset. Most of the best pads have sort of saw waves, so you want to find like a nice saw wave or analog, sort of basically any sort of saw wave. That's a nice one probably. And then yeah, filter, I want to cut out some of the higher frequencies. Bring up the unison maybe. You could add a bit of movement with an LFO. Just bring that down. You could obviously make that more pronounced. Yeah, I mean, we could bring up the detune. Bring it down. These are all the different things that sort of make a pad sound different. But yeah, I'd say saw wave is your best bet. We can then maybe add a reverb, go for a plate, chorus. And then what you want to do is maybe add this macro onto the filter and then bring it up. And that's pretty much how you make a good pad. Lastly, we have this sort of bass that comes in. Just a nice sort of sub. It's just got the same root sort of bass notes as these chords. This is really simple patch, so yeah, I'll show you quickly how to make it from scratch. This is pretty much any sub. You just want to keep it super simple, keep it nice and mono. So add that filter, bring out anything below like 250. You can pitch that down, and add that sort of sub in. You just play around with how deep you want it. So that's probably fun. You could go deeper. Then these like sort of lower notes, it's not really going to sound great. It's like sort of failing, so you'd probably keep that at 0.
Always gonna be something. Always gonna be something standing in your way. 'Cause there's always gonna be
Great guys, thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry if the camera's got a bit dark. I've done this a bit last minute, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something new. Cheers guys.